Hi developers, I'm Hussein Dillai, Microsoft MVP, and today we'll learn how to use Eventbrite API with Xamarin Forms. Eventbrite is a platform for organizing events. They do have an API exposed for developers so that developers can use it to enrich their mobile applications. Today we will learn how to use this API in order to get information like the organized events in a certain location. So let's get started by taking a look at the Eventbrite API. So here I go to the website eventbrite.com, and here you get more information about what Eventbrite can do for events. Then as Eventbrite gets have an API, we can go to the documentation for that API here inside this website eventbrite.com/developers/v3. Here you can find all the endpoints or how we can invoke the Eventbrite API with any language. And here in this video, I'm interested to get a list of the events. For that, I'll use the events endpoint, here the events web service. And inside the events web service, it relies on a URL. And inside this URL, we can pass all the parameters we want in order to get information about certain events. Those parameters could be a query. So here we have the queue parameter inside the URL. Here we can pass the a query or a keyword to search inside all Eventbrite events. We can also search by location.address. We can also specify a certain radius for our location. So we can specify a radius of 10 kilometers, for example. And then we can specify the latitude or longitude if you have the GPS coordination for your user. Some other parameters or options for searching with a city, region, country, for user ID, for price. So we have really a very rich API here. The one we'll be using will be this one. The URL will look like this one. So it's a get HTTP request. This get HTTP request, here you see that we have some parameters. The first of all is the token parameter, and here in order to be able to access the Eventbrite API, we have to get a token. The way you get a token is by going to the eventbrite.co.uk my account/app/new, and here you fill this form, then you apply for a key, and you will get your key that will be used as a token for all your web requests to the Eventbrite API. So here we are creating a sample request here by specifying the token. Then we are specifying that we want to get the venues. Here we are searching for the events, and we are searching for the events that are within 10 kilometers of the location address that is specified here. Oops. The location address I'm looking here is not appearing, but it's London. As you see here in the URL here, you see it's I'm looking for the events inside London within a parameter of 10 kilometers. I want to sort these events by distance so that I get the first events to appear for me are the nearest events. Then I'm looking for events that have the category ID equal 103. So you can take a look at these categories IDs inside the documentation. You will find more information about what each ID means. So by sending this request to the Eventbrite API, we'll get a JSON response. The response will look like this one. So here we'll get JSON response containing information about the events, about the requested events, and you see here we get that list. For each event, we have its name, its description, the ID, the URL for that event, starting date and the ending date, creation date, capacity, um, and some other information like the logo, the venue address for that event, and we have also the latitude and longitude information, and so on. Now let's try to build this, let's try to include or to consume this Eventbrite API from our Xamarin Forms application. So if I give you a look at what the application will look like, so here I have the application running on Windows Store and on iOS simulator here. So you see I'm getting this same information coming from this link. I'm getting that information here. So you see that the first event is Campfire Club 2016, and that's what I get here from my browser. So this is the kind of application we want to build. So here we get the same information, the name of the event, the logo, the address, the starting and ending date, and a description for each event. So let's go to Visual Studio and build this application. So here I have created a new Xamarin Forms application by going to File, New Project, and choosing Visual C#, then cross-platform, because here I have Xamarin Forms. I have Xamarin installed in my PC. I have this cross-platform node will appear under Visual C# here, and here I have chosen the blank XAML app, this template that will give me this project, this solution folder. Here you have the portable class library, which will contain the common and shared code. This code is for business logic and also for user interfaces. Also we get the Android project, iOS, Windows UWP, Windows 8.1 and Windows Phone 8.1. So instead of having me typing all the code required to build this application, I'll go and inject the code using a NuGet package. So let's go and install that NuGet package by going to our portable project, right click and manage NuGet packages. And here let's look for a plugin called plugin.eventbrite. This is our plugin. Let's install it. And by installing this plugin, we'll get all the dependencies needed to run this application. Oops. Oh, I should restart my Visual Studio, so let's take a minute and do that. So now that I have Eventbrite NuGet package installed in my PCL project, it have injected all the dependencies. These dependencies are some other NuGet packages like the Newtonsoft JSON and the HTTP client libraries, which will be responsible for sending the request to the server and getting the JSON response and deserialize it to .NET objects. Here we have also the main class for the service is the Eventbrite service, and this class have a method called getEventsAsync. This one uses the URL because Eventbrite API relies on this URL to get the data from the Eventbrite API. So you see here we are using the same URL we were looking at in our in our browser here. So this is the same URL with the same token and same parameters, so that we can get the same data. For the token, I have here a sample token, but it's better for you to get a new one. So here you have the link from where to get that token and register to the Eventbrite API. Then we have these parameters here. I'm giving static parameters, but you can include those parameters in your method here. So saying, for example, this one will get a string for the address, for example, and then inside of doing this you can do plus address, so that you can specify in each time a new address to look for inside the Eventbrite API. We have the other parameters, the location dot within, so that's the radius for the search, then the search by distance, and the categories equal 103. So that we have created our URL. Now let's go and create our HTTP request by calling the HTTP client object coming from system.net.http and passing our URL as a parameter. Then we'll get back from the server a JSON response that we will deserialize to an equivalent of .NET object, which is here Eventbrite events. So Eventbrite events is the equivalent of the JSON file coming from the server. So if we take a look here, let's do like this. So you see here for each event, I have here a name for an event. For that I have a property name inside my .NET object, and I have also a description in the JSON file, and for that description I have the same here inside this .NET object, and also the other parameters or the other properties for the ID, the URL, the start and starting date, ending date, the address, and the venue, and so on. So here we are parsing the JSON code to .NET objects. Then we are returning the events coming from the Eventbrite API to the caller, and the caller here is the Eventbrite view model. Inside my view models here I have that view model, and here you see the code injected respects the design pattern MVVM. So here I have my view models and my views separated. Inside my view model I have this property Eventbrite events that uses the property changes coming from the iNotify property changes, so that I can refresh the events shown in my user interface, and each time I get a new response from the server. I'm calling that inside the constructor here, so that when the user starts the application he will get immediately the events. Then we'll use this view model inside our views, and here inside my views folder I have Eventbrite view page. Here I'm calling that Eventbrite view model, and I'm calling a list view that have that list view actually is bound to the Eventbrite events.events, so it gets all the list of the events coming from the server. Then for each item inside that list we are bounding the property for each event to a label. So we are binding here the name of the event to a label. Here I have name.text because if you see here in the JSON file I get name, which is a type object that contains two properties, text and HTML. So I can choose between this one. Here I'm choosing text, and then I have another label for showing the starting date and ending date of the event, some other one to show the description, then the address of the venue, Then I have a logo image to show the logo for each event. Cool. So now we can use this user interface because it inherits from the content page. They can use it inside my app.xaml.cs here instead of using the main page the um, as the starting page. I'll go and use my Eventbrite view page to be the starting page for my application. Then when running the application, I will get this same user interface here, giving me all the events coming from the Eventbrite API. So before finishing here, I want to make a disclaimer here. The Eventbrite, this plugin works fine with iOS and with Windows platforms, but for Android, it still has some problems. I'm not sure yet why those problems appears, but for now it works for iOS and for Windows. So I hope this demo or this plugin was helpful for you to build powerful applications that gets data from Eventbrite API to show or to get more information about the events organized by local communities. So thank you.